Milk tea, fruit tea. Milk tea, fruit tea. Milk tea, fruit tea. It's so hot outside, a fruit tea would be refreshing and it won't hurt my stomach later. But I really walked in here so I can try their milk tea. Milk tea, fruit tea. Can I get an original milk tea and a mango black tea, please? Yeah, so that's basically me on an everyday basis. I'm heavily a Libra, so indecisiveness tends to be prominent. Okay, really though, getting a little deep, I say I'm indecisive, but really, I think I just lost the ability to think for myself. Is that too sad? I really believe I no longer can think for myself. I can't tell the difference between what I want versus if this is what my family, society, norms, blah 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 want anymore. Anyways, this is the art of being indecisive. Leedles version, of course, because most of this really comes from personal experience and I'm just trying to find other people who relate. So I never thought I would come to this point. How to make a decision. So I've self-identified as indecisive for a long time, but I think it's gotten much worse within even just the past decade or so. I went from not knowing what to watch on TV to not knowing which streaming platform to pick from thousands, and then eventually choosing a streaming platform and again having to decide what to watch. Or being lazy, so I'll just have a pizza delivered because that's really the only place that delivers, right? Wrong! Now we have multiple delivery options with different delivery fees, which I have to weigh in too, and then having to decide where I want to eat on top of that. And then having to tip too, because I want my delivery person to be rewarded for going out of their way. I've tried to make a mental weighted checklist where I weigh out the options, basically making a pros and cons list, but this leads me down to spiraling, which we all know isn't good. Take shopping for example, because I always find things that I want and eventually I have to choose between them all because I don't have an unlimited budget. I'll find something like shoes, a pair of white ones and a pair of black ones. I'll stare at it for a good minute or 5 and then contemplate. I think I would get more use out of the white shoes. This pairs so nicely with my outfits and it gives off that sleek, chic look, which makes me look like I put more effort into my outfits. But this black pair is multi-useful. I can wear these to work and not worry about staining them, and I can use them for casual outfits, which is what I'm ultimately looking for. If I get the white pair, it might get dirty much faster and the creases are more noticeable. But if I get the black pair, I'll regret not getting the white pair. I don't have enough money to get both. There's a lot more to my thought process, but this is a pretty good glimpse. Now take that conversation and apply it to 90% of the decisions you make during the day. What do I eat for breakfast? If I eat cereal, I won't be satisfied enough. But if I eat something like eggs or bacon, I'll want something sweet afterwards anyway, and then I'd be too full. Cereal is also full of sugar, and too much is bad for you, but I'm also craving something sweet. You know, when I write it down for this script, it looks like a decision should be easier to make. Maybe I should just start jotting down my reasons for each decision. Also, when I'm trying to decide between both things, I often have to think of the consequences that come with it, like deciding where to eat. I hate when people ask me what I want to eat. Like, you cannot tell me to pick from the 1 million restaurants that are nearby. I'm a people pleaser, so I have to consider everyone's decision, and a lot of people know what they want to eat but are asking what I want just to be courteous. No, don't do that to me, please. It'll be much better if we eat where you want to eat. You know those memes where they make fun of people saying, I don't care where we eat, but really they're hoping the other person will just magically say what they're thinking and a whole argument bursts out. Well, for the most part, that's not me. When I say I don't care, I don't care. I'll always find something to eat that I'll enjoy from any place we go. There are some days where I'm actually craving something and I will say it, but 85% of the time, I'd rather you tell me. I often have a compromise thing when people ask. I have that person name the restaurants they're craving, and then I will make the final decision. Because if you tell me you don't care where we eat and I say, let's go to Wendy's, and you say back you don't want fast food, then you actually do care where we eat, and that'll just cause me to overthink that I didn't perfectly think about the food you were hoping to get. Narrow my options and I will choose, okay? This is why thinking of a place to eat in a group is hell. Everybody seems to not care where to eat, but the second someone mentions a place, it doesn't sound that good. And we're going around in circles until we get fed up with not knowing that we just pick something random. Especially if I know my friend group, some people are picky eaters. So I really need those friends to speak up when we decide where to eat. Wink, wink, wink. You know what though? I'm also the complete opposite when it comes to certain things too. This mostly has to do with art or planning an event. I'll know exactly what I want and how I want it to look. But I suck at putting my thoughts into words, and it doesn't turn out the way I envisioned. My big picture is of high quality, but my execution is pretty mid. But don't worry, I would never blame other people for me not knowing how to put together my thoughts. But it's still frustrating on my end for being a perfectionist who can't describe her thoughts and overthinks. But anyways, something that helps me is playing rock, paper, scissors. I often do this with my sister whenever we can't decide. We'll each take an option and play rock, paper, scissors. Whoever wins, that is the decision we'll go with. If there's more than 2 things we're debating on, we usually bring in another family member or my sister's fiance. Or we do a game of choosing numbers where I'll number each option in my head and ask someone to choose a number, and whatever number they choose, that's the decision I pick. And it helps quite a bit for sure. And it's also a quick way to make a decision before I overthink anything. And if I'm by myself, I'll usually do the eeny, meeny, miny, mo thing. I know it sounds childish, but if it keeps me from overthinking, just let me be. If you have any other fun ways to make decisions or advice in general, let me know in the comments. I'm open to trying new things to help me. I'm sure many people identify as being indecisive, and there's a handful of people saying it's good to be indecisive because you're more open-minded. First of all, thank you very much for saying, but also, I'd rather just know what I want and not be afraid to say it.